I'm Sean from Offload, Rugby Media.
This is Simeon, also known as the TikTok Ref.
Hi guys, I'm Murray, also known as Blissful Rugby HQ,
and welcome to Season 2
of the Rugby
Connection
podcast.
Hope you're ready for it.
For the fans.
By the fans.
Croeso, welcome back to the Rugby Connection podcast. It's back after a week off and we'll get into the antics of last weekend briefly. But Murray, how are we this fine evening?
I'm alright. Was a little ill last week thanks to your good self, Simeon, as we all were. But apart from that, it's been good. It's been quite a chilled out week for the most part, and then a shit ton of rugby. So who can complain about that? But happy days. How are you?
I am grand. I've become immune to hangovers recently. My liver is thanking me deeply for this nice cup of water. Sean Lenihan, how are we? Do you also have a cold from poor Simeon?
I do, yeah. Don't know whether it's from you though, but I think Simeon probably is. Yeah, I've been pretty sick the last week. Well, no, since Wednesday, and I'm still kind of shaking it off today. Couldn't get to play my rugby match yesterday, which is sad because I was sick. But look, I'm not complaining because, as Murray said, got to watch a lot of rugby on Saturday, and I mean, look, rugby is the best cure for anything. So we move.
It really is. I mean, as anyone who didn't see the antics of whatever, us three was stuck. Us three was in me, Sean, and Harvey. We're all in my quite small uni room. I think we could all admit, lads. Quite small, and I got ill like 3 days before they came, so we ended all up being ill afterwards. Which is grand. But I mean, what a weekend it was in more than one ways last weekend. I mean, Scotland v Tonga, what a game. Obviously, for all of us apart from Murray, first experience of Murrayfield, pardon the pun. But it was grand, wasn't it, Sean? I mean, you sat with me one half and Murray the other. Who was the more loud one?
Who was more loud? I think that actually has to go to Murray. Murray was the loudest.
Shock horror.
No, but it was a really good game, and honestly, I don't actually remember as much from the game. It's more just about kind of the weekend and the experience as a whole, if you get me. Like, honestly, obviously I knew that Kyle Stain scored 4 tries or whatever, and Rufus McLean got a try or two, but other than that, I couldn't tell you much else. I mean, it was just great to be there, and I really enjoyed the company of that. So, yeah.
I think that's a fair reflection of it. I mean, Murray, you probably loved that game more than anything. Your boy Rufus McLean getting his first tries for Scotland.
Yeah, I just feel a bit. Listen to Murray, when I talk about future stars of Scotland, it does come off because I think 4, 5, 6 of them made their debut.
You've not been too wrong recently, to be fair to you. And Josh Baylor's getting his first cap yesterday.
Yes, we'll get onto that. There was a video of that I lost my mind when friend of the show, Josh Bayless, got capped by Scotland. We'll get into that in a wee bit. But yeah, last week was obviously special regardless of the result, that we all finally met together. Obviously, me and Simeon's met a few times because he's a bit closer to home now. But yeah, getting Sean across, getting Harvey up, magical weekend, one for the memory books. And even after the Scotland game, Simeon just hurling abuse at a mobile phone for the New Zealand-Wales game.
I mean, we're at, what was it, the Scots Garden Haymarket?
Yep.
Down in Goodison. Good pies. On par with penny cooked pies.
I have to say, it was my phone that was getting the abuse, so.
Do you know what? On the pie front, recently, boys, I had a good game yesterday. I had Saturday, Curry Chieftains versus Hoyk, which anyone who knows that, I mean, it was the seconds, but it was still a very, very high standard game. Really, really interesting game, massively disciplined. It was because you had Premiership players who were playing who weren't picked for the Prem team that week, and they were playing there. So the standard was amazing, but Curry, as much as I love them as a rugby club, and they've been really good to me, I've been down there a few times, their pies were appalling. No, but seriously,
I love how you're like basing rugby clubs on who has the better pie and the better food. I mean, you've How Five has to be up there for food.
Oh, the How Five food was great. I didn't have a pie at How Five, but sadly but I had like all that cheesy chips and stuff. That was banging. Do you have a favourite pie?
No.
From a club?
No, not even in general. So no.
I think a Scotch pie in general is fine, but I don't really Because not a lot of rugby clubs do the pies after the game now. It's all chili and curries and all that.
Do you know where else did I have a pie? Selkirk. They had quite good pies.
There you go.
Selkirk pie was good. Maybe it's a
We've got-
Borders thing. Borders pies are good.
Yeah. Looks like we've got rid of drink of the day and now we've got pie of the week. There you go.
I know. But no, I mean, you've touched on Wales there. It was I mean, we watched the first half on Sean's phone at the pub. I mean, there was also me and Harvey going down the street singing the Welsh national anthem, bless his heart, trying his heart out there.
I sang it.
Huh?
I was singing.
I didn't hear you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. But building up to that, I think personally one of my highlights, besides watching Harvey throw up in my toilet, was street rugby.
That was good
Yes.
fun. Yeah.
Street rugby. And for those that weren't playing street rugby with us, the TikTok ref that says that this was a red and that was red, high tackled poor Harv and was offside at the ruck. So, big hypocrite that the TikTok ref is.
I think Sean, I mean, your filming of it was great. It was like Sky Sport was there. It was fucking grand. Like from your you were like the TMO there. How did you assess this game that went on?
I actually think that the rucking was actually really positive. Like, first of all, fair play to the guy who just kept lying on the ground, setting up rucks. Like, he's a real hero there, like putting himself on his body on the line. But I actually think the contest at the breakdown was actually very, very good. Like, it was just like, good body position, just driving through the ruck,
It was genuine. Everyone was on their feet. It was brilliant. Like, and then there was the guy who kicked it out.
Oh, that was funny.
Put onto private property with a big, 8-foot gate round it so you couldn't get it. Well done.
Yeah. And
but then apparently the police stopped it anyway.
Did they?
Yeah, the
'Cause
guy
we
got
saw
the ball
Poe
back.
going
Me and
by.
me and Harv were like, hoist it up, and the police like, no, don't. I'm like, oh, boom.
yeah. And
Oh, it was
Harvey
great.
had that box kick that nearly took the woman's head off. It
Oh
was
my
a terrible
God.
box kick.
Harvey just wasn't lucky with women that weekend, was he? He just wasn't at all. I mean, he had all these plans and ambitions. And then I think another highlight of the weekend was when Harvey was being sick in the toilet, not my flat. And I walk into this room. So we had a flat party, there was because of Halloween. I walk into this room. Sean sat on this bed with an array of women just surrounding him and chatting to him. It was big. You've left a big statement on Slateford. Like, everyone wants you back.
I'll take that as a compliment.
I mean,
They all want.
the highlight I got from, apart from being with you, obviously, was when you were partying and Sean was looking after Harv and he had the earphones in. It was very ASMR, just, yeah, I've got hold of him. I'm just taking care of him. He's got what? He's fine. And it was so funny. Like, I think if I could save that, I would have, because it was just like so quiet and soft spoken. I was like, I feel safe knowing that Sean's looking after Harv when I was. So.
Sure, he was in an accommodation full of nurses. He was always going to be fine.
Yeah, he was in good hands, in fairness. Yeah.
That was a very funny night. I mean, Harvey blames Murray for just giving him pints when he was like, "No, I don't want a pint," and then you just came back like, "No, have another one."
Yeah.
See, we English can't handle their booze.
Evidently, we're all fine, and he was young. There you go. Speaking of rough, Sean, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. I may be like this, unfortunately, for a bit throughout the pod, but we'll be all right.
Jeez, man.
I mean, speaking of drinking, and I know Murray. I mean, at yesterday's game, Scotland, Australia, what a win. Do you want to just, before we get into the actual rugby, how many pints did you down in an hour? Because I was quite impressed with you for this.
5.
Good man.
Jeez.
5 in an hour and 2 after the game, and then I came home.
I mean, that's grand. I mean, I was in Malone's, the Irish bar, just up Haymarket. That was what a crack, boys. That was. I mean, I had 5 Guinness and 2 baby Guinness. That was in a space for like 2-3 hours.
Was that your first baby Guinness?
Yes, actually, lovely stuff.
Do
Do you not like it?
I don't know. I don't like what's in it, so I've just never been interested.
What is in it? I don't even know.
Yeah, someone was telling me that baby Guinnesses aren't actually Guinness, which I didn't know.
It's not. It's not actually Guinness.
It
Yeah.
just looked like it.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that until someone else told me.
I can't remember what the bottom bit is, but you put a spoon over it and pour Baileys over it. And I don't like Baileys, so no.
Yeah,
there's
fair enough.
Like, so, but yeah, no, five pints an hour. Simeon was proud of me, and we went on to fantastic win at Murrayfield. Like,
What a game! I think being in that pub, I know like you were in the stadium, the atmosphere was great, but in the pub it was. And what was like nice, there's a few Aussies in there actually.
yeah,
We had a few Aussies with us, and it was quite a small one, so it was like really like compact. It was just nuts.
I think what made it more special, and not saying like last weekend against Thunder wasn't special, it was special for like our own reasons, but it's been over 600 days and it was a sellout.
It's mad.
67,500 roaring, screaming, going absolutely apeshit at Roman Pla, who it was his last game from international reffing. I thought he reffed terribly, but it's fine. It's fine.
You know what? Talking about reffing very briefly, I mean, my flatmates who came and watched it with me knew that I was going to get annoyed at the ref, and like I think Roman Platt, he did some things really well that game. He you know, Michael Hooper can be a bit of a prick as a captain of the refs. He really sussed out Michael Hooper and made him shut up, which I respect massively. And when it comes to a decision, it's kind of what's in your own eyes and what's seen. But what was it? We had a yellow card for that off the feet of the ruck. Now that one was really weird because I
thought it was the elbow. It looked like it elbowed
I
Matt
thought the
Davidson.
fist touched the head first. I couldn't see for sure.
I seen an elbow, but either or, that's
it was a really weird one. I think yellow. It was one of those ones. You give a yellow, you've got your reasons. You give a red, you got your reasons. I think you can't argue that. But what the Australian prop who just went head high, no arms, and went shoulder to head, and it wasn't even a penalty. I wasn't being delusional, was I? I was sat in the pub going fucking mental. Actually, on this, when I was doing this, some random guy came up and spoke to me, and I was talking, and he was Scottish, but he said he lived in Wales and he knew what a cutch was, and he gave me a proper Welsh cutch.
What is a cutch?
It's like a Welsh hug, but it's more than a hug. That sounds a bit weird, but you know, just go. It's like when I jumped into Harvey's arms before I got pumped in me.
Yeah. That was passionate. That wasn't just a hug.
Exactly. It wasn't just a hug. It was a cutch.
Anyway, before we actually talk about the game in detail, I would like to shout out to the young man that was sitting behind me. I don't remember his name. He was 12 years old and spoke like a proper rugby analyst. Wasn't holding back. Was brutally honest. Had better opinions than I've heard from people that actually get paid to do it half the time. And brilliant. And to the Australian guy that I met after the game, that I went, unlucky mate, and his response was, well, we've got 2 World Cups. Nice, thanks. I was like, fair enough. But all I need to say is, because you just watched it, is Ewan Ashman. What a debut, what a try. Unreal.
Not gonna lie, never heard of him till this game.
Sail shark hooker. Second sail shark hooker.
There's a few, you know what, in general, there's been a few weird hookers call-ups recently. Even you got him, no one's really heard of him. He's come up from Sale. And then you had Bradley Roberts come from Ulster, who's South African, to play for Wales against South Africa.
Yeah. But the debuts and our debut for Scotland against Australia, our boy, our friend of the show, Josh Bayliss, and he played bloody fantastic considering he only had like 10, 12 minutes on the pitch at the end. Came on for man of the match, Hamish Watson. Got an important turnover that effectively won us the game, and another man that was just controlling it highly. Best 10 in the Northern Hemisphere by far.
Finn was on fire yesterday. He came out and decided, I'm going to have a good time. And he was just smiling. You know how he was when he's a bit of a prick and he just smiled?
Yeah.
He was on that yesterday. I mean, you probably couldn't have seen it so much being in the stats, but on the TV, they just kept going into Finn and he was just there grinning because he was putting dirty moves yesterday, was he not?
That's Finn. But anyway, we have got a lot more rugby to talk about.
I mean,
like Ireland. thumping Japan. Was not expecting that at all.
No, I'm very pleasantly surprised. I mean, I said that to you, Murray, on Saturday. Pleasantly surprised. Honestly, I thought Japan were going to be Ireland's toughest opponent, apart from the All Blacks, obviously. But since the game, obviously, that has completely flipped it on its head. I mean, Ireland honestly looked inventive. I mean, they brought an offloading game. I mean,
I don't know when I've ever heard the only time I have ever heard the word offload in Ireland is to do with you. I've never heard it before because they don't fucking do it apart from Sean Lenihan.
Yeah, well,
how Sean.
You're dead right, Simeon, though. That's the thing. And I think Ireland are finally moving on from the hangover of the 2019 World Cup and the Joe Schmidt era. Although obviously Joe Schmidt's style of rugby brought Ireland a lot of success, it just really wasn't good enough to get past the quarterfinal. And honestly, I'm looking more optimistic, to be honest, for the World Cup than it did literally 2 weeks ago. So
I do have a question for you, though, Sean. I do have a big important question. You talk about hangovers and hangovers for Ireland. Whose hangover was bigger, Harvey's or Ireland's?
I think it has to be Harvey's. I think there's only one answer there. Well, he got he did so much puking on Saturday night that he was fine on Sunday. So
he was sick in the morning as well.
Yeah,
He's never drinking again. What did he do 4 hours later? Have a Guinness. The man's a madman.
Yeah,
Man is mad. But I've got another question for you. Instead of putting our question time at the end, and I'll put to see boys our question of the week from Kyle once again.
Hey.
One of our adopted members has asked, and I'll get you the direct quote right now. So if you just want to talk about Harvey's hangover a bit more, just continue. I find the quote.
Or we could talk about rugby like the show's for. Just saying. No, yeah. Sean, how good was Sexton for his 100th cap? People say he's winding down a bit, and I think he put a lot of doubters on the back burner.
And wait, on this, the question directly is: did Johnny Sexton prove himself yesterday? Is he still the right man for the job?
That's a strange one, because evidently from Saturday, yes, and yes.
But my thing is, was that just a poor Japan team? Was it just he could do it well because it was a poor Japan team? Could have you chucked anyone in there?
Try it against New Zealand and see what happens, sort of thing.
Exactly.
That's fair. I think with the second part of Kyle's question, is he still the right man for the job?
No.
He is, only because, and yes, there's Joey Carberry, Jack Carty, Harry Byrne and all that, doing well for their clubs. Nobody's really putting their hand up. Do you know what I mean? Remember the issue with the Lions?
I don't think and I want to hear Sean's opinion after I make this statement, because he'll know better than either of us, right?
Yeah.
I just don't think no one's had an opportunity to play 10 for Ireland because they just picked Sexton. Even when he was shit in the Six Nations, when they should have probably put Carty in or someone else, no one gives anyone a chance. So as soon as Sexton leaves, there's going to be a big gap. And Sean, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I just think there is. And you had Billy Burns in last time. It was pointless.
Yeah, I think my answer is a bit of a mix between what both of you said there. Did Johnny Sexton prove himself? Well, first, I don't think he had to. I think it's a known fact that he is currently Ireland's best 10. But do we really want him to be the top man, especially going into the World Cup? I personally don't, but honestly, it looks that way. It looks like that Andy Farrell is probably set to keep them there if he chooses to continue on. Obviously, his contract only ends next summer. Whether he wants to retire or not, he said he'll see closer to the time. But I think he is Ireland's best 10. As Simeon said, and Murray, you hinted as well, no one has stepped up to the plate, and it's unfortunate. But that is a kind of it's I think it's also not Johnny Sexton's fault. He's not going to give up that jersey easy. So it's kind of up to everyone else to kind of. And also, look, I do think that, and I've said this a couple of times, if Jack Carty was given a bit of game time under Joe Schmidt, he could potentially be a better player than he is now, especially confidence-wise at test level. But he wasn't really given that opportunity, even against Italy in the 2019 Six Nations.
They still started Sexton, didn't
exactly,
they?
Yeah, against Italy, the one
and
game.
Then I remember when it got to the World Cup, they dropped Carty and they played Japan.
Yeah,
and we all know how that went.
Yeah, Carty actually did pretty all right that day as well, but he's been blamed for that loss because he was the starting 10, and it's all kind of a bit unfortunate. But I think Johnny Sexton, he still is the man, and he had a pretty good game on Saturday, and he will start against the All Blacks very likely on Saturday. But I think it would be pretty sad from an Irish point of view to have a 38-year-old starting at 10 in the World Cup.
I completely agree.
Just one more point on this. We discussed it during the week in our little chat. Sexton said it himself, as soon as he doesn't have that drive, he'll retire. And I said, like, insert the Wolf of Wall Street meme, like, I'm not fucking leaving. That is Johnny Sexton. It's not a drive, it's stubbornness. You won't go.
And I think, speaking of stubborn people like Andy Farrell, we moved to his son's team, England, who got COVID. We can't really cheer to that, but fuck me, Eddie Jones is a prick.
Yes, it wasn't my decision. No, it's not anyone's decision.
Furbank started at 10. For anybody who knows, George Furbank, who is the third place fullback for England, started at 10 over Marcus Smith.
Smith had an injury. That's why. Smith was hurt going into that game. That's why he was on the bench.
But he was still on the bench. But then
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but then why not put a proper 10 in at 10? Not like.
But Furbank's when before the Lions returned to the clubs and all that, Furbank was playing 10 for the Saints.
True. I just think it was
I know, I get where you're coming from. It was a weird call, but look at the score, 69-3. It made no difference.
There's not really much to talk about. Courtney Law's tackle was class. Henry Slade is continuing that form. The
red card.
I'm going to have a little Slade moment. This is the thing. It's not Eddie. If any other coach was in, you'd probably put Farrell on the bench, start Marcus Smith. There's your captain, Slade.
Yeah.
Most informed centre in England. Full stop. Apart. Maybe from some of the England women with a 2 Test series win against New Zealand. And it was the biggest ever loss for New Zealand women this weekend.
Yeah. Unreal. It was an absolute thumping from what I've seen from it. But just briefly going back onto the men, when, obviously the news got broke out on Friday that Owen Farrell tested positive and then couldn't play, but the RFU said he might be able to play because they hoped it was a false negative, which we've now learned was. But Eddie Jones then came out and went, "Oh, it wasn't my decision." No, you're right. It's not your decision. He's got COVID. You're not allowed to start.
Medical professionals. And as you two have both known, because you keep going, Simeon, should I play? I've got an injury or I'm ill. And I both tell you not to play. And then you're both like, well, no. Sean listened to me. Sean was a good boy listening. Murray is a prick. And is like,
thanks.
No, Simeon, I'm not playing, because it's fine. I've got a. What was your direct quote?
Hold on, is that how you think I sound?
Yes.
Fuck you.
It wasn't. That wasn't. I didn't start that sound. It was Harvey.
No, I'm not getting. I just feel this. I'm getting bullied for nothing now. Second
time Murray's been forced to leave the show, unfortunately.
I know, Sean called me fat in season 1. Simeon's given his best Mel Gibson impression, thinking that I sound like that.
Love you too. But again, with more women's rugby, changing topics swiftly. Wales women are now going semi-professional with their top players all getting professional, or they get the choice to get a professional contract.
Good.
Great news. Good news.
It's good. And I think they have to this is where we get into an interesting one. It's, I believe, 25 grand. So about, funny enough, what first year nurse would get. So when you go out for a basic nurse would get. Now it's a bit of a weird one because some of them are in jobs where they're earning more money. And then others aren't. So they're now having to go give up a job, which you get more money in, and go pro for Wales. It's a weird one because I've seen people complaining, and everyone knows how much I'll do women's rugby till the cows come home. I've seen people complaining about the amount of they're getting. You've got to start small. You can't just. At the end of the day, the Welsh Rugby Union is a business, and I'm now handing over to our business student on the podcast, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think first of all, I think it was really great news. Just taking it from a positive side, it was great news. And as you said, Simon, I think when you look at the numbers in terms of the money that they're getting, is it even enough money to probably to support themselves and potentially a family? Probably not. I think I even read somewhere that it could even potentially be only some of the only contracts are even less than 20K, 19,000 for some of the other contracts. Like I mean, it is like minimum wage sort of money, but as you said, you have to start somewhere. And like obviously they weren't just going to be offered 50K a year out of nowhere. Like when literally they've like I think as far as from what I read, basically the Wales New Zealand game basically paid for their contracts, to be honest, because the WRU got £4 million, I think, was it just from that game alone? And
it was a sellout and the tickets were expensive.
Yeah. So I think there you go. And people were saying that the Wales All Blacks game was pointless, and yes, the result wasn't great, but
isn't
you need money.
Yeah.
COVID times, as you said, it's a business.
It's a business, and we talk about Wales, New Zealand. Yes, it was a shit show. There's no other words about it. But yeah, it was a weird one. On actually going on to more Welsh stuff. With Wales, New Zealand, I want to talk about pitch invading briefly before we actually talk about the South Africa game. But I've got an interesting thing on this. I do believe we wouldn't have scored. I don't think that the pitch invader affected the score.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these Welsh people who's going to be like, no, it did. No, it didn't. It didn't. We weren't going to score. The pass was there, and Liam Williams had to turn regardless. So, but as much as this Javo 69 chap is amusing, right? Like he did it again at the right? But it's starting. We're now seeing a trend in pitching. Like last autumn, never know people. The autumn before that was the World Cup. So the one before that, we saw. That's weird to think about, actually.
Yeah.
It's the first proper autumn since 2018.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a disgusting thought.
That is oh my god. That is a strange one. Right, but we saw no pitch invaders then. You don't see pitch invaders in rugby ever, do you?
No, not very often.
And in the space of 2 games, or 3 games, sorry, we've had 3.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think what you were saying there is that although your man Jarvo was fairly harmless, like I mean he's a bit of a laugh, but what you were saying there, he potentially inspired that guy and made it look like that your man could do it, that drunk guy in the Wales.
Exactly, and it's like on that as well, and people posting this video of him. That's what he wants, is that video. That's what I refuse to share that video on anyway, because it's just what he wants. I mean, literally like 5 minutes before we came on, he's been banned from going to a Wales game for the rest of his life.
Oh wow!
So he should.
As he should, obviously.
The thing is, right, and I don't think many people know this. As a criminal offence, you do get charged and prosecuted for that. Imagine of all the stupid shit you could do to get a criminal record. I ran onto a rugby pitch. Well done. You now can't get a job because you ran onto a rugby pitch. Absolute twat.
Exactly. I don't know if you heard the commentary. The guy,
I did.
Like, he should be arrested, like that. I was wetting myself.
I think it was one of the more calmer ones. It was just no, you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, no. And this is what I was on about before we started recording, lads. Here's a first in the history of Rugby Connection podcast, and do not get used to it. I actually did feel sorry for Liam Williams there.
Right.
Do you know what? Right.
Just probably died saying that, yeah. But yeah.
First, I mean, yeah. Can we just talk about how good Wales were?
Yeah. Fantastic.
Do you know what? They just got beaten by a better South African side.
That's it. They are the world champions.
They're world champions. Wales put up a fucking good fight, and I'm going to back Scotland to beat South Africa.
Sorry.
But it was a great game. Johnny McNichol's found form again.
Yeah. Johnny McNichol has been the only shining light in that Scarlets team all season.
Yeah.
And it's good to see that he's carried it across to the international. But
Dan Bigger played fucking well.
Obviously.
Well, yeah, but it's like I don't get why they brought Anscombe on. Like I used to have a big thing against Anscombe, and now I'm kind of like, well, he's come back from injury. I don't know why you're putting Anscombe on then to finish a test match, which is that close when Bigger. Would you say?
Yeah. If there's nothing wrong with it, why bring them off?
I didn't get that at all. But wasn't it Liam Williams went to centre as well? Pretty sure-
Probably. Liam Williams actually seemed everywhere from what I was.
Yeah,
was
when he
watching.
came on, he had a good old game. And sorry, there's one man we do have to talk about though, Ellis Jenkins. First game back for Wales after 3 years.
Amazing.
And that man was. I cannot wait to watch him play some more rugby, especially against the Aussies. I'm looking forward to that Wales Australia game.
That'll be a good game.
That'll be a great game.
Yeah, really good game. Do need to talk about Sia Khaleesi sending Thomas Williams into the Six Nations already because my God, he went flying.
Yeah. Yeah, Khaleesi had a good game actually.
Khaleesi's just. I think Khaleesi always does the nitty gritty stuff that nobody wants to do, and it doesn't get talked about often.
But he did this weekend.
I did have a laugh though that Principality have a roof and it was pissing down, and you just like to leave the roof open.
That's not the Principality. That's not the Welsh Rugby Union or the Principality's fault. That's Dithering Drakeford's fault.
Is that?
Apparently, it's because of COVID reasons they had to keep it open.
Yes, COVID reasons. So Drakeford's the first minister for Wales.
All right. Okay.
Who I dislike. But no,
we're not getting political. That's all you had to say.
Yeah. So no, On an interesting one of So I don't know if you guys knew, and any of our Welsh listeners will know, and I obviously refed it. So in Wales, they had to do that modified COVID laws. I remember me telling you guys about this when I was back home. So it was no. You could only have a scrum for a knock on. The rest of it just tap and pass. You could, as soon as ruck was formed, you couldn't let anyone else join the ruck. Only people in the line out could be in the line out. So this wasn't the WRU's fault at all. This was Welsh government. They were the laws, and they're getting lifted this weekend. Which again, I don't understand because Wales are going into slightly more restrictions because the COVID cases are so high in Wales at the moment. Scotland are going down.
We've just established Scotland is just the best country. We've had a sellout, we won the game, COVID cases are going down. Hey, why not? We're just the best.
I can't really deny I've had a good crack.
You seem a lot happier that you're up here.
Pardon?
You seem a lot happier now that you're up here.
Oh, I love Scotland. Edinburgh is the city for me. I love Edinburgh and the fact as well that Sean, you and me had a lovely touching few moments together before you left because we dropped Harvey off, and then it was a beautiful evening, and we had just to walk around like the old town, didn't we?
Yeah, it was actually really nice. When I got back here to Dublin on Monday and Tuesday, I actually felt like just really sad that I wasn't in Edinburgh anymore. I was like, oh, I want to be back there. Really nice city, really nice.
It's so pretty. There's a law. You can't have any skyscrapers or things in Edinburgh, so that's why the architecture here is so beautiful, and it's so nice to be. It's such a happy. Even when it's wet, it's pretty here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I know Edinburgh is a great place. I have booked my flights home, and I am back reffing at Caerphilly on Boxing Day.
Hey, that'll be good.
Nice. The return.
It's Boxing Day derbies. Well, it's at Caerphilly. It's always the under 30s, the over 30s.
That'd be fun.
Oh, nice. I like that.
So that'll be great. And then a good old piss up back at Caerphilly. But we talk. I'm trying to think of one game to briefly touch on. I think France Argentina was a surprisingly good game.
I enjoyed it. Me and Sean were talking back and forth through that. Very feisty first half, and I will give credit to Ben O'Keefe. There was pushing and shoving the first time, and Anton Dupont.
He ref that game beautiful. I thought Ben O'Keefe had a great game. I know I normally come on here and criticise refs. No, Ben O'Keefe, from me, he did that, and you don't see enough at international rugby. When people get in the scuffles and stuff, they do it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. No, nothing happens. Ben O'Keefe just went, no, whatever time you're both going off. And he read that game like a fucking book because Argentina-France could become scrappy. As soon as that happened again, yellow card. Well, rest of the game, beautifully disciplined.
All I'm saying is, why would you push Marcus Kremer? Are you seeing the size of him? He's an absolute house. Sorry, I went really Scottish. House. But no, it was a great game, all things considering. And Dupont scored a great try that wasn't given, and Argentina had a late fight back. And it was just like the best neutral game. Like if you ask anyone on a proper rugby fan any year, if you could just go to one neutral game, you're not affiliated to any, I'd probably say France Argentina.
Because they're both teams who like flair, but they're big fuckers as well.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, also touching on some of the other games this weekend was we don't really need to talk about New Zealand killed Italy. We all
They
expected.
didn't know because Italy had
Italy
them
had a good
half
first
an hour,
half.
nil for half an hour.
It's pretty good, but then the All Blacks kicked in. What do you reckon? It's going to be like. I mean, going to Sean here, especially Ireland v New Zealand. What you thinking there, Sean?
Well,
Wow.
what I will say is I have an article saved to read, but I just read the headline. It's by a guy called Tom Vinicombe. I hope I pronounced his name right on Rugby Pass Plus. But he was basically, and the headline is saying that Ireland are the best team to put up to New Zealand this autumn, apart from France. Like even like Ireland would be better placed to put it up to New Zealand than France after the first round. And I honestly I haven't read the article now, so don't. I was paraphrasing there. Don't quote me on that. But
Yeah.
I'm interesting. Like yes, Japan were poor, but Ireland were also good. And like I was kind of worried the first 5 minutes in the Ireland game because Ireland were a bit sloppy and things weren't coming together. But as the game went on, Ireland really put things together, and it's the type of thing you need when you're playing the All Blacks. You need structured play, but a bit of unstructured brilliance like Ireland had.
I completely agree.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's a time where I'm very, very excited.
Anyone got special plans going out for that game? Mo, you'd be just in Edinburgh, won't you?
I'm at all the Scotland games.
I might be going to Japan.
You might be going to. Well,
And then
that's fine.
I just got to wait till next week. It's like 30 quid a ticket, so I might just cop
Well, we are meant to be going to the Scotland women versus Japan as well, so there's that. Anyway, I have got a topic for you just because you mentioned like Rugby Pass columns. Not Ben Smith, former All Black, has said because Scotland beat Australia, there's now like the top 6 countries in world rugby. They all can quite easily beat themselves. Like there's no like favourite in world rugby anymore. That's not true because like, if you're a smart person, you will bet the All Blacks to win.
Yeah.
But I get where he's coming from. Like Scotland beat Australia, Australia beat South Africa, South Africa's beat New Zealand, and
I'd love. I mean, obviously I want to see Scotland win all their games, so I think we could really beat South Africa. I do genuinely after what Wales put up, and when I'm just going back to Wales. Like when Wales look to attack, it's this PVAC way, which is coming into fruition, and they look to attack. But you get Finn going. I mean, we saw what Finn did to South Africa last time.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. All I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I was discussing this with like friends and family like this morning when I got up, and I want your thoughts on it as well. So 2 years ago, Finn got kicked out of the Scotland camp for being a naughty boy and not getting on with Gregor and clashing heads, and it seemed like Finn was done. Like as long as Gregor was in charge, Finn Russell would never be captain of Scotland. They kissed, they hugged, they made up. There's still obviously some issues, but they've let it go. They've buried the hatchet, and now Finn is vice captain.
It's good. It's really,
in the space of like 18 months.
It shows
unreal.
Positivity and development in Scottish rugby as a whole.
Yep.
I mean, as someone who sees a lot of grassroots rugby in Scotland, it is good. Grassroots rugby is a good standard here, and I think the future for Scottish rugby is looking really good.
I think on that whole Finn Russell thing, if Gregor Townsend would not bring Finn Russell back into the Scottish squad at some stage, it nearly would have been like career suicide. You know, to bring like with the way he's been playing, like that it'd nearly be mental to with a World Cup on the horizon to leave Finn Russell in Paris and be with the World Cup being in France and not playing. Well, we don't know whether he'll be in Paris or not at that stage. We imagine he will be, but yeah, that would have been mental.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sorry.
You're too cute. I'll let you go first.
Bromance.
Do you know what? It's going to make that pool in the World Cup with Ireland, South Africa, and Scotland very, very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, me and Sean's spoke about for weeks that like it's going to be one of us that goes out, but the way the test goes,
it could be South Africa.
South Africa could bomb out, and we could advance. Like, it's so hard to tell now, and I think that's what makes it more exciting because yes, we bitched and moaned about getting like World Cup questions and all that because it's so far away. It's not really that far away now that you
It's
think
kind of
about
got to
it.
the point where it's
Mm.
not, is it? It's
No.
2 years.
So, because we've got the Six Nations next year, we've got the Autumn Test next year, Six Nations, and then there's a work. Yeah, so
I think it is. I don't know if this is correct, but what they were saying before the Ireland game is that Ireland only had 20 or 19 games until the World Cup, and when you think about it, you know how many you play in a year. It's not actually that much.
It's really not.
Yeah.
It's like, and I think all of our nations, Ireland a bit less so because we're kind of a bit. Ireland's in a weird place at the moment, but especially with Wales and Scotland, they're looking positive. I know Wales is a bit of a weird one as well. So, right, Scotland is definitely looking in a good place for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Wales could be 1 week and not week next, so we just don't know. And same with Ireland. Like Wales and Ireland's form at the moment are just going like one game with class, one game with shit.
Yeah, I think what Wales and Ireland need is a bit of consistency and really back up. Like that's what Ireland need is kind of like Connacht, like we've been saying all year, is just need to back up one good performance with another good performance, regardless of the results. And that seems to be what Andy Farrell is looking at, rather than results, look at performance, and I think that's what they need.
I think Ireland's team selection needs to be better as well.
Yeah, I think the team will probably be similar, if not even the same, starting 15 for the All Blacks this Saturday. I imagine.
I just don't get why Balakoon. I mean, the back row anyone could start, but I just want to see Balakoon play against the All Blacks.
I want to see our boy with the majestic mustache, even come off the bench, Matt Hansen. And again, it's just something I've always said since we started the show. If you do well enough for your club and merit a call up, that should make. And then you know what I mean. Like if you're in top form, it makes sense.
Exactly. I just don't get why. I always just think, if you're on form over experience. I always say form over experience.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit of a controversial one.
If you can get that sweet spot where they've got the experience and the form, perfect, go for it. But it's a tricky one. Sorry, Sean, I interrupted you there.
No, I was just going to say that, as you mentioned, Robert Balakoon, Simeon, I think Balakoon is still shook after Connacht and Mac Hansen absolutely ran through them there a few weeks ago. I won't let that go easy, Simeon. I'm sorry.
John, I replaced my flag and you still.
I mean, I did buy it for you though, so.
You did buy it.
Actually, speaking of things that Sean bought.
Oh God! You can get my scarf. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in here. I'm not getting this. I actually am.
Got this lovely Edinburgh boot bag and little Scottish rugby keychain from Sean. So thank you for the Edinburgh scarf in my car because it got really cold the other day. So that's been to good use already. So
and I have to thank the boys and especially Murray for finding the sevens America jersey. I didn't realise till afterwards. That's the USA logo. Sean, don't get excited here, okay? I know it makes you happy. USA rugby logo. And then I also thank Sean for. I have an Italy boot bag, but it's got boots in it, and I'm not picking it up because I'm for plan inspection. And my scarf from Cymraeg.
Lovely.
And Sean's not Sean what he's got for some reason. No, okay.
Yeah, no, Murray bought me a Lions v Japan memorable top, which I have it in Leitrim, but I'm very appreciative of that. So thank you, Murray.
Up the kingdom.
Up the kingdom.
Up the kingdom. Then that became a very much a prominent phrase during.
Very prominent.
Very prominent thing. We've now just been saying it on TikTok all the time, and I think should we do a wall update?
Yes, please do. Please do.
So, the wall's been updated. People have been up and down off it. So we're all up here. This is very awkward. There we all are at the game. There's some more of there's the after we refereed. Oh yeah, Sean, what do you think of my refereeing?
Oh yeah, not bad. I mean, there was some.
I had a poor game. I had a really bad game that day. I'll admit I was poor.
If we're being honest, there were some questionable calls, but I know it wasn't too bad overall. It wasn't the worst.
It's fine. Murray's come on the show and said I'm a really good ref. So you're no. It's I know. I'll fully admit that game I had. It was a poor performance. I was very ill, and we thought the game was going to be off because of how wet it was, so I wasn't in the mindset. So I'll fully admit it was a poor game, but the standard of that game was poor as well. It kind of.
I mean, Simon, you were so close to becoming a shadow physio last week for Howe Fife, but
Yes.
But
just-
whether-
if that opportunity arises again, I will be there because it's good for my placement. Do you guys want a funny story? And I'll slightly relate it to rugby and anyone who I've got to do my nursing section of the week. My nursing.
Go on.
Yeah,
Right,
oh, yeah,
so-
what have you been saying?
So this one we can relate this to rugby because it was manual handling, so moving people and stuff, right?
Right.
And we were in the centre at Napier, and we had to use these glide sheets. Anyone who's worked in it, you might big red glide sheets to move people up and down beds if they like slip down, right? And me and one of the girls, one of the girls on the bed we had to move was really slight and small, and me and the other girl losing it. She's quite strong like me, and we just didn't realise our own strength when like this. Bloody hell, they probably needed a HIA after that. They banged their head on the back of a bed. But I believe on that and HIAs, which is this next topic has nothing related to. Murray, you have a exciting question as a company who has joined us.
Yes, so if you don't follow us on TikTok or any of our personal Instagrams,
Which I don't know why if you didn't, but okay.
yeah, I know, get those numbers up. Like over 2,000 on like TikTok and like 400 on Instagram. Just bump that up. Let's
Yeah.
keep equal. Anyway, we are officially partners with Surprise Stash now. If you don't know who Surprise Stash are, they're a great local new company. They're fairly new, and if you pay them money, you can get a first.
I want to pay them in potatoes.
What?
I want to pay them in potatoes. I don't want to give them money. Potatoes.
Anyway,
Definitely not edgy that.
he's been a clown. Anyway, they offer a first 15 box, which is basically a match day replica top of any team, and I do mean any team. Like, go over to our TikToks. The last purchase I got was a lovely Northampton Saints away jersey from last season.
Harvey got a Scarlets, and I got a Kenya.
Yes, Simeon got the pre-season stash. Sadly, that's not available
Because I
anymore.
have no money.
Yeah, that was the cheapest option. They usually do three. It's your pre-season stash, which would be your singlets and your vest. You've got a training box, which is, like it says on it, it's training tops or polo shirts. And your first 15 box is match day replicas or quarter zips. I'm still to get a quarter zip, but anyway.
I'm gonna get that. I like a good quarter zip, doesn't he?
Can't choose though. That is the joy of Surprise Stash. And if you go over to their website and use code rugbyconnection, you will get 15% off. Not just once. You could use it as many times as you like, and it looks good for us as well. So why not?
So yes, but please do join in on that. And also a quick one from me. Make sure to download Match Pint and use code triple TR and do that. Boys, did you win any pints? Did you win any pints this weekend? I won 2 pints of myself, and I can gift a pint.
Nice.
Do you want to get free one? Because it would not let me join. As much as I tried, my phone is not compatible for most things because it is a Huawei phone, so they're not with Google anymore.
Nice. I can't gift you if you don't have the app. So
you can gift me. I can come with you. You can collect it and you hand me it. There you go. It's
no, I
gifted.
can't because I have to give it to your phone. I can't use it off my phone, or I could just
No, get it. So you could have it, and then just hand me the pint or buy me a pint. And we'll go, yeah,
something like that.
something like that.
John, did you get any pints?
I don't think so. I'm not gonna lie. I find the app a little bit confusing to navigate at times. I haven't got used to it yet, but I think some of my predictions weren't too far off. Now I don't know whether that's any good for any free pints now, but no.
You probably did. I'll teach you how to use the app.
Yeah,
Since you're on about predictors, I completely forgot to mention this. So last week, before I met up with you boys for the Tonga game, I met this lad from Dublin, like Sean. He wanted to make a big bet, asked me what my score prediction was going to be, and I told him it, and I was like, look, don't bet on it because I'd feel awful if it didn't come through. He's like, no, that's fine, give me your score prediction. So I was like, 52-15 Scotland. And you were there, the last minute of the game, it was 53-14. I was like, that's fine because you fit in that margin.
And then we scored.
Last play of the game, Kyle Stein gets his 4th try, the bet goes out the window. So I'm sorry to whoever that was, he lost $2,500. If
You've
that
got
score
that on
went,
your conscience.
I've got that on my conscience. He put like £20 on this bet because it was this high scoring margin. You get stupid money back, and he was literally like one kick away.
But realistically, he only lost £20 rather than 20.
Yeah, realistically, you only lost £20, but you could have won £2.5 grand.
Oh dear. Well, on that, next week we'll be moving on to talk. It'd be more or less the same next week. Lots of drinking stories.
One more thing.
Last fall.
We're doing quick predictions for next week.
No, because because you're not doing it here. You're going on Match Point and doing your predictions there.
Nah, you're not, because if your phone's not compatible, come to TikTok with me and we'll discuss it there.
You can do it on Mary's TikTok. If you have a shit phone, you come on my lot. On that, we will gladly see you all next week. Hope you like the slightly different format we've done this week, a bit more spontaneity and weird stories, mostly about Harvey being sick. Go and check out Sean's TikTok if you want to see that. But on that, diolch yn fawr iawn, hwyl fawr, nois waith fawr.
Song of all.